Taiwan, I'm Laurel Stewart with the news from here in Taiwan and around the world. China has announced a live-fire exercise in the Taiwan Strait from Thursday to Friday. China's Maritime Safety Administration said the drills will run from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day in parts of the Taiwan Strait and the East China Sea. Vessels will be barred from entering the exercise area. The drills come as Taiwan's Defense Ministry reports a surge in Chinese military activity. It tracked 21 Chinese aircraft and 8 ships operating near Taiwan between Wednesday and Thursday morning. 20 of the aircraft came nearer to Taiwan's main island. The ministry also said China is expected to launch a rocket projected to fly towards the Western Pacific and passing through Taiwan's air defense identification zone. As the ASEAN foreign ministers meeting in Manila nears its end, some of the delegations are still watching China and its actions in the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. John Van Trieste reports.
U.S. and Chinese delegations sit across the table from one another in Manila, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in the center. This meeting, on the sidelines of the ASEAN foreign ministers meeting, comes at a time when both sides have much business to discuss. Chinese President Xi Jinping is heading to Washington in September. There's planning to do. And there are also big differences to work around. China's clashed once again with the event's host, the Philippines, in the disputed South China Sea. China and the Philippines are among the countries with overlapping claims in the sea, and China has ignored an international ruling siding with the Philippines. The Philippines is a U.S. ally. Rubio says the U.S. will honor its treaty obligations. Then there is the ever-tense relationship between China and Taiwan. China regularly sends Coast Guard ships into Taiwanese waters to test Taiwan's resolve and challenge its sovereignty. Rubio says this is a constant issue, something the U.S. is opposed to, with the U.S. saying the Taiwan Strait should be open to all.
It always comes up in every one of our meetings because we obviously disagree with those actions. And we actually think that they run contrary to the spirit of what we're trying to work out with them with regards to strategic stability.
And there's a pending $14 billion U.S. arms sale from the U.S. to Taiwan. China strongly objects to sales like this. While on hold for now, Rubio says they're just under review as the U.S. takes stock of how much hardware it can spare. But it's not just the U.S. taking a stance towards China on the sidelines of this meeting in Manila. For Australia, a recent Chinese missile launch, and especially the South China Sea, are points of concern. It's giving the Philippine Coast Guard extra funding.
More broadly, on the South China Sea, I also have made public comments about the incident involving the members of the Philippines Navy and the Chinese personnel. We have said we have real concerns about behaviour that is destabilising and risky.
China is not pleased, but doesn't name any specific countries when discussing the foreign response to recent tensions in the South China Sea.
有关国家不是南海问题的当事方，无权介入当事国间的涉海问题。
And then there are Japan and South Korea. In a meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Rubio, the foreign ministers of both countries expressed concern about the same missile launch that's made Australia uneasy. They also agreed on the importance of peace across the Taiwan Strait. As the gathering of foreign ministers in Manila nears its close, China, and how to deal with it, is one of the issues some members face. As Rubio tells reporters, the goal is to manage differences, because a conflict, economic or otherwise, would shake the world. Devin Tsai and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
New Zealand and Papua New Guinea have signed a defence cooperation agreement amid growing Chinese influence in the Pacific. The agreement seeks to boost cooperation through dialogue, training, exercises and personnel exchanges. On Instagram, New Zealand's Defence Minister Chris Penk stressed the need for Pacific nations to work together against complex security challenges. Papua New Guinea has strong economic ties with China and recently ordered Taiwan's representative office in its capital to close, a move some see as appeasement to Beijing. US House lawmakers have passed a record $1.15 trillion defense budget for 2027. The proposed budget is about 28% higher than the previous year. It includes funding to help Taipei bolster its self-defense capabilities, support for bilateral drone development, and a plan to bring Taiwan into the 2028 RIMPAC naval exercise. The final bill could still see some changes as lawmakers work out differences with the Senate. Here in Taiwan, lawmakers are at odds with the cabinet over the budget for a drone industry development plan. Industry insiders and experts are voicing concern over what this could mean for the sector's future. Lara Isiano reports.
Legislative debates over spending are focused on Taiwan's drone industry once again. The cabinet approved a drone industry development plan worth roughly $1.4 billion, looking to expand market demand, improve technology, and refine regulations. The goal is to make Taiwan the center of a democratic drone supply chain, not reliant on China. China is the current market leader for drones, and many countries are seeking to lessen their dependence on its products. That presents an opportunity for Taiwan, if it can take advantage of it.
其中在市场面的部分，透过政府公务采购扩大内需，并以台湾卓越无人机海外商机联盟带动业者拓展欧美日海外市场，建立稳定且可预期的市场需求。
But the plan has run into a roadblock. On Wednesday, opposition lawmakers voted to freeze the full amount allocated for this year, after originally proposing to cut the budget altogether. Legislative approval will be needed before the funds can be unfrozen and used. Industry experts say this kind of legislative deadlock hurts the sector.
但是我们的电子大厂不愿意投入，当然除了一个是他们看不到有一个长期的可以有 sizable 的 order 一个量产。
业者在这个领域其实投入是相当多的，政策需要一个稳定长久的规划，让我们业者投入才会比较知道怎么去应对。在一个处于模糊的阶段的时候，其实会对我们业者在投入的评估会变得很困难。
Apart from the economic arguments, drones are vital to Taiwan's future defense strategy. They would help the country overcome its manpower disadvantage, keep shipping lanes open, provide reconnaissance, protect critical infrastructure, and more. What happens next is up to lawmakers, but whatever they decide will have a major impact on the industry's future. Justin Wu and Larry Ciano for TaiwanPlus.
Another round of tariffs is on the way for major US trading partners, including Taiwan. Our reporter Lily Lamatina has been following this story and has this report.
Taiwan could face fresh U.S. tariffs by Friday as the Trump administration looks for new ways to keep up the pressure on its trading partners. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer says Washington will soon release a Section 301 investigation. It examines whether 60 trading partners, including Taiwan, have failed to address issues of forced labor. The probe could lead to additional tariffs of 10 or 12.5%. The investigations represent the Trump administration's efforts to find a new legal basis for tariffs. That follows the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to strike down Donald Trump's so-called Liberation Day tariffs in February. After the ruling, the U.S. president used a different law to impose a 10% global tariff, but that measure is set to expire this week. The administration is now turning to Section 301 forced labor investigations to keep tariffs in place. Taiwan's government says it remains in close contact with Washington. Taiwan and the U.S. signed a reciprocal trade agreement in February, before the Supreme Court ruling, and Taipei says Washington should consider those existing terms.
美方会考量各国达成的贸易协议。我方也持续跟美方在保持密切的沟通，确保美方在做最终税率的决定的时候，会给予我国相对优惠的待遇。
Economists also point to the U.S.'s reliance on Taiwan's high-tech products and, most importantly, critical chips.
这些高科技厂商去美国投资，其实就是美国这个川普政府再工业化的最核心的精髓啦。那因此呢，我相信在这个前提之下呢，台湾受到这个关税的压力呢，是不会比其他国家更严重。
Taiwan's government and businesses have already made plans for major investment in the U.S. Just last week, Taiwanese chip giant TSMC increased its total U.S. investment commitment to a record $265 billion. Taiwan, with its high-tech sector and investment commitments in the U.S., could face less pressure than some of its regional rivals. But the government and businesses will want to be doing all they can to ensure they get the best possible terms. John Su and Lily Lamatina in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Chipmaker AMD is teaming up with an AI company, Anthropic, to carve out a bigger share of the AI market dominated by Nvidia. AMD says it will invest up to $5 billion in Anthropic, while Anthropic will buy AI servers from AMD worth tens of billions of dollars starting next year. AMD's computing power will drive the development of Anthropic's AI model Claude. It's the latest example of a so-called circular deal in the AI sector, where a chip maker invests in an AI firm that is also a customer. In South Korea, there's a new companion for elderly people. AI-powered dolls help battle loneliness and remind seniors to take their medicine. John Van Trieste is back with this report.
78-year-old Bang Chun-ja holds a doll in her apartment south of Seoul. These days, it's her only companion. But this doll, called Hyodol, is AI-powered, and it's turned things around for Bang after a long period of isolation and depression.
I have one daughter, but it is better than my daughter because it is right next to me while my daughter lives far away. She can't really be of much help to me as I've gotten older, but since Hyodol is right by my side, it's a great help to me.
There are now close to 15,000 of these dolls around South Korea, a country where many people live alone, and loneliness is a problem, especially among older adults. Officials distribute them to older people living alone. The dolls are programmed with a childlike personality, designed to give their owners a role like a grandparent. But really, it's the doll that's a kind of caregiver.
I'm home by myself all day, so I hardly ever get a chance to talk to anyone. It's gotten to the point where my mouth is getting rusty. And because I can't go out too much, nobody comes to visit my home. But now, I laugh and talk more with this doll.
They're not just cheerful company. These dolls also provide health monitoring. Users agree to certain recordings related to sleep, meals, and pain that are shared with welfare workers. It's important data in a country where thousands of people die alone each year, and in many cases are not discovered for a long time. The startup behind this doll spent years doing research with real older Koreans, developing scripts based on their needs. The dolls call their users grandma, greet them cheerfully when they return home, and even say that they love them. And they also put users in caretaker mode, important in a culture where many adults are focused on providing for family, and older people still want to feel needed.
I think I held the belief that unconditional support, playfulness, and love is needed in our Hyodol doll. The entire script reflects it. The character is simply devoted to grandmother, a child who cannot survive without grandmother.
These dolls are one of several AI-powered care machines that have official backing in South Korea. One nurse who recommended the doll to her client says they have real results. Levels of depression go down, for instance. But she is unsure whether AI is a total solution for the country's loneliness epidemic.
I think people are ultimately more important, so I think that they need to work together. Rather than relying only on AI robots or only on people, I think they need to complement each other.
Until more human help is available, these dolls can at least sing, entertain, and interact with their owners, providing at least some relief to people who have no one else to listen to them. Chris Ma and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, take a look at this recently reopened mosque and tomb in Cairo. I'm Laurel Stewart. Take care. See you next time.
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app or follow us on social media. And by the way, this over here is drone soccer.